All right, let's build the ultimate playbook for something you're going to see all the time in clinic. What to do when your patient misses their contraceptive pill. This is going to be your go-to guide for giving clear, confident advice every single time.
So, picture this. Your patient calls, a little panicked. She's missed a pill. What do? Well, your entire plan of action, everything you're about to advise, really just comes down to the answers to two simple questions. Which pill is she on, and how many has she actually missed?
So here's our game plan. We'll start with the rules for the combined pill, then we'll tackle the progestogen-only pill. We're also going to cover the really critical triggers for emergency contraception, and then we'll wrap it all up with a quick-fire review of the key timelines you have to remember.
Okay, before we dive right into the rules, let's just set the scene. Giving good advice isn't about guesswork, right? It has to be based on solid, evidence-based guidelines.
And you can see where we're getting our info. Every piece of advice in this explainer comes straight from the UK's Faculty of Sexual and Reproductive Healthcare, the FSRH. This is the gold standard, especially for anyone revising for their GP exams. This is the stuff you need to know. Right, let's get into the trickiest part first, the combined oral contraceptive pill, or the COC. Now, I know the rules can seem a little complicated, but trust me, we're going to break them down into a simple, logical system that just makes sense.
Everything starts right here. The very first thing you have to figure out is which bucket the problem falls into. Is it just one missed pill, meaning it's less than 48 hours late? Or are we talking 2 or more missed pills, meaning it's been 48 hours or more? Because the advice you give is going to be completely different depending on the answer.
And here's the good news. If it's just one single missed pill, the advice is beautifully simple. She just takes the missed pill as soon as she remembers. Yep, even if that means taking 2 pills in one day. And then she just carries on as normal. No extra protection needed, no condoms, no emergency contraception. Easy.
But what happens when we're talking about 2 or more missed pills? Now this is where your clinical know-how really comes into play, because the right advice depends entirely on when in the pack those pills were missed. So let's break this down. We've got 3 totally different scenarios based on the timing, where the pill's missed in week 1, week 2, or week 3 of the pack. Each one has its own specific playbook.
Okay, week 1. You've got to be super careful here. This is the highest risk time because it comes right after that hormone-free break. So the advice is, take the last missed pill now, use condoms for a full 7 days, and, this is critical, you need to consider emergency contraception if she had unprotected sex during that pill-free week or in week 1 itself.
Now, what about week 2? Well, things calm down a bit here. If your patient has taken 7 pills correctly in a row before the mistake, her ovaries are pretty well suppressed, so the risk is much, much lower. She still needs to take that last missed pill and use condoms for 7 days, but emergency contraception? Generally not needed.
And then we get to week 3, and we've got a completely different strategy. The main goal here is to avoid that upcoming pill-free interval, because that would be risky. So she finishes her current pack, but then she has to omit the break. She skips it entirely and goes straight onto the next pack. That's how she stays protected.
Okay, we've got the COC down. Now let's switch gears to the progestogen-only pill, or the POP. You'll find the rules here are a lot simpler, but the key difference, and it's a big one, is that the time windows are much, much stricter.
Now, you're going to want to pay close attention to this slide. It's huge, especially for exams. It shows the 3 main types of POP. For the traditional ones, a pill is considered missed if it's just 3 hours late. 3. With Disozadrel, you get a more generous 12-hour window. And for the newer Drospy run-on pill, it's 24 hours. But look at the backup contraception. 48 hours for the first 2, but a whole 7 days for Drospy run-on.
So what's the plan if they're late? It's actually pretty simple across the board. The patient takes 1 pill as soon as they remember, they continue their other pills at the normal time, and they have to use condoms for the next 48 hours. That simple rule will cover most of the POPs you'll be advising on.
All right, let's talk about one of the most important decisions you'll have to make. When is emergency contraception actually needed? Let's look at the clearest trigger of all.
So let's run through a classic scenario. You will definitely see this kind of thing in an exam. Your patient has missed 2 of her combined pills in the very first week of a new pack. On top of that, she had unprotected sex during her pill-free break. Does she need emergency contraception?
And the answer?
A huge, definite yes. This specific combination, unprotected sex during the hormone-free time followed by messing up the start of the new pack, is pretty much the highest risk scenario there is for contraceptive failure. Emergency contraception should be very strongly recommended here.
Okay, let's wrap this up by drilling down on the numbers you absolutely have to know. Think of these next few slides as your digital flashcards. Let's lock this in.
First up, 7. That's 7 days of backup contraception, like condoms, needed after missing 2 or more combined pills. 7 days.
Next number, 48. That's the 48-hour backup window you need to advise for a late traditional or desogestral POP. 48 hours.
Then we have 12. That's your 12-hour safe window for a desogestral pill, like Cerazette, before it's officially considered late.
And finally, the one you can't forget, 3. Just 3 hours, that's the incredibly strict window for traditional pops. It's a tiny margin for error, and it shows just how important timing is for those pills.
And there you have it. That is the playbook. The rules are logical, the timelines are specific, and now you have a clear path to giving safe, effective advice. So the only question left is, the next time that call comes in, are you ready to turn that moment of confusion into one of complete clarity?